Yes, hello, I am James Rowlands. Today it's a WNR348 to AEW Dynamite. Ultimate One can't make it, but he promises he will be on the next show. So we've got 6 episodes to look at. And of course, a lot has happened in AE. Of course, we had Elevation debut with Paul White and Tony Schiavone on commentary. Nothing really special there. And we'll start with AEW Dynamite for the 17th of March, St. Patrick's Day Slam. We've got a new supergroup in town, let's not forget. First match is Penta versus Cody. We get Green around ringside. Cody boy, post-match, Penta beats Cody down, hammering his shoulder until Dustin Rhodes and the Gun Club make the save. QT Marshall comes down late and asks what's going on. The match was good, but made Penta look a bit stupid. Commentary hyped up the rest of tonight's show. The Young Bucks were interviewed backstage to talk about being the best team in pro wrestling when Don Callis rolls up. He's worried about their dad and brought him a t-shirt to wear in the hospital that says, "Don't slap leg while kicking," and admits that the Bucks never actually kicked him, but he wanted to be kicked to see a sparkle, the once in a millennium tag team that the Young Bucks used to be. Callis admits that he changed Kenny Omega but for the better, saying that he's a god of pro wrestling and the Young Bucks aren't elite anymore, just a tag team with fancy tights living off their name. He asks if they still see the same Nick and Matt that used to be in New Japan and leaves them fuming. Then we get Danny Jordan versus Jade Cargill. We get feeling out, gives way to a huge knee from Cargill, German suplex into a kick up, short arm into the grand slam, and then she calls Jaded and wins by pinfall. She then gets into Red Velvet at ringside, but referee Bryce Rimsberg and assorted wrestlers in the crowd keep them separated. Cargill looks great. We then get a recap of last week's Inner Circle War Council and the violence that ensued. MJF and his pals make their entrance. Tully Blanchard gets on the mic and says it's great being in the ring with these guys. A week ago, they were in the ring with the greatest group AEW had, the Inner Circle, and you saw Ortiz and Santana handcuffed, Jack Hager eating 2 champagne bottles, Sammy Guevara in a chair, and their leader, the Great Chris, popped by MJF with a baseball bat. So now they're the baddest group in AEW. When you climb the mountain, there's no place. You're the pinnacle of this sport. They'll take every Premier Championship this great sport has to offer, and as the pinnacle, they'll take what they want. And right now, they want Chris Jericho's locker room. But before they take that and everything else Jericho holds dear, he's got a little heartwarming message for him. He's better than him, and he knows it. Well, the pinnacle is here, and I've got a feeling War Games is to come. This is a good promo. Look forward to the Inner Circle's revenge, though. And back from commercial, Matt Hardy gets an inset promo where he talks about how money holds his stable together. The more money they make, the more money he makes. Then Bear Country, Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson and Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt versus Butcher and the Blade, and Matt Hardy in Private Party. Stunt tags in on Bear and beats on Isaiah. Hardy cuts him off in the corner. Private Party hit Gin and Juice. Matt tags in, corner for it, drawing Marco up. Twist of fate, and it's over. The Hills win. Matt was picking up the pieces here, but he's finding his, and it looks like bears and dinosaurs just don't get on. We see Eddie Kingston, John Moxley cut a promo backstage somewhere. Mox said he's not in a good mood, and just because he got burned, lacerated, handcuffed and beaten to a bloody pulp, he's going to war again to take care of his real problem, the Good Brothers. Everybody loves them, hey, but he doesn't like them at all. These guys are champion all around the world, but this ain't Tokyo. It's not the Impact Zone, this is their place, and it's real simple. They're cowards, and a coward dies 1,000 deaths, but soldiers like him, Mox, only die once. And as CM Punk says promo at this moment in time. We see Christian Cage interview backstage. He offers a little bit of a rant. There's a term in the wrestling business for a guy who busts his ass more than they're called a workhorse. And if you've ever been in a locker room, you know his reputation for making wrestlers level up. But he's not a workhorse. He's the workhorse. And the second he wrestles for AEW, you're going to remember that real quick. He's ruffled some feathers coming in. Folks worried about him taking spots. The only spot he's concerned about is Kenny Omega's spot. Kenny scooped his time last week, but he's not mad about that because he scouted Omega out. And he knows he has to get some wins first. But he's coming for the title. And as for the why he's in AEW, he's here to cement his legacy and outwork everyone. He should have said that in the pay-per-view. Let's see him in ring soon. And then Eddie Kingston, John Moxley versus the Good Brothers. This is an all-out brawl. We get a Magic Killer on the outside to John. Eddie worked on hot tag. Then towards the end, lifting John up, Eddie runs back in to block the Magic Killer. Lariat sends Luke to the floor. He pulls Kingston out and puts him into the barricade. Mox thinks far package on Carl Anderson for the win. This was a great match, and post-match, Good Brothers beat John down and choke him on the mat. Enter Kenny Omega, strutting and carrying a chair, accompanies Don Callis as usual. He sets chair up in the ring. Don takes his blazer off, takes a seat. Eddie returns and shoves Omega over. The Good Brothers and Kenny put the boot to Kingston. Magic Killer, they wrap the chair around Eddie's legs. Mox tries to save him, but Kenny puts the boots to Miz, and they pillomize the leg. The horse collar Mox with a chair and hold him down, but the Young Bucks make the save. Kenny himself gets on the second rope, but the Bucks get his way and beg him to leave the ring. Moxley rolls out while they're bickering, and finally the Bucks are sick of talking sense into the friends and go to leave. Kenny shoves Matt Jackson and tries to get 2-3 out of them, but the Bucks aren't having it. And Moxley returns swinging the chair like a madman. The Hills run off and he collapses from exhaustion of it, while ringside doctors need to hold Eddie Kingston back to keep him from trying to hobble his way to help his pal. I'm kind of waiting for them just to take Moxley out at this point, because I know, of course, Renee is pregnant and I'm off. But it'd be interesting to see with the Eddie Kingston storyline now and where they're going with the Bucks as well. But back from commercial, Tony Schiavone interviews Sting and Darby Allin. Allin said he won the TNT Championship in November of last year and he only defended it 3 times. It's a joke. Now that everything's done with Team Taz, he wants to be a defending champ week in and week out. He wants to start by paying tribute to the greatest TNT champion of all time. That gets a Brody chant going in and he calls a Dark Order down for an open challenge. Enter Lance Archer though. They moan about Tony interviews Sting every week and said he should be his time all the time. The internet might think Allen's terrific, but as far as Archer is concerned, he's the biggest joke he's ever seen. He says Sting knows him and winds of change are coming, and Tony can't but realise you don't play with fire. Lance is the biggest, baddest son of a bitch around, and he'll twist it up and shove it up their rear end. So leave, and Tony tries to restore order, but enter Team Taz. Taz tells everybody to slow down, but Brian Cage takes the mic and says he has something to say to He shows up like some hotshot and sticks his nose in their business week after week. And after all, back and forth and physically and damn this street fight in the business. He respects Sting and warns to come out here and look him in the eye to eye and tell him Ricky Starks he's wrong and he's still the icon. Taz and Starks yell at Cage and he storms off, them following after. We'll keep an eye on Cage and Team Taz, but this was the start of something, I think. We then get a video package where Scorpio Sky talks about wanting to be the face of the AEW and get rejected time after time. Hey, it won't be stepping stone, hurt people to do it, so be it. And then Angelico versus Ray Phoenix. Insecurity gets a super kick, gets a roundhouse kick, and they fall into each other. Test the strength, pop up into a crucifix driver. Phoenix is ready to end it with a Phoenix driver. Phoenix is awesome, there's no doubt about it. Not since Rey Mysterio I've been so impressed with a high flyer. Miro's interviewed backstage and says Chuck Taylor's really sweetening the deal by offering to be his butler for life, but he's moved on and he's got better things to do. Kip Sabian rolls up and says he hasn't moved on because they ruined his wedding. Muro isn't upset. Miro tells him the worst thing for his career is having your wife at ringside, and when the bell rings he doesn't care about anything except his destiny to win and eventually be world champion. Kip says he wants that too, and Miro says there's still pals outside the ring. It leaves Kip telling the interview to accept the challenge. This looks like a split is coming. Miro looked great here. And then we see the Dark Order interview somewhere, and Brody Jr. tries to accept the challenge, but Evil Uno stops him. They discuss amongst themselves who should answer and quickly decide John should get the shot. Yes, I cannot wait. And then we get the footage of the Pinnacle taking over the Inner Circle's dressing room. And then the main event is Dr. Britt Baker, DMD versus Thunder Rosa, unsanctioned, lights out, anything goes, Falls Count Anywhere match. I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? And this got a lot of talk in AEW about being the main event and how great it was. But this is what women's wrestling is, and AEW needs to have more than one women's match on the show. And to have more than one main event at Dynamite. You know, can they main event at pay-per-view? This is the thing. This kind of feud is kind of really heated up now because of matches like this. You know, beforehand we got talking about great feud, but feuds are only there if they actually mean something and they deliver great matches, and this is what it was. And there was so much going on. We're abroad to start. So much big spots. We see Rosa bleeding after a stomp to the steps. Baker suplexes Rosa into a pile of chairs in the middle of the ring. We see a ladder introduced, and we see it drop kicked into Britt's face. Rosa picks up the ladder and chokes him in the corner, wedging it into place. Again, another drop kick, and then Britt is bleeding from the forehead as well, slowly dragging herself off. She's busted wide open. Like we've seen a visual of Britt Baker bleeding. It's absolutely unbelievable. We see an avalanche Death Valley driver into the ladder. Fucking hell. We see Baker DDT her onto a chair off the ropes. And then stomp into a chair, but somehow Thunder Rosa kicks out. It's unbelievable. We see the purple eyeliner, the crimson mask, then the smirking, and then the bloody bit. Hands her a bag of tacks. She kicks the chairs out of the way to make room and dumps the tacks in the middle of the ring. Forearm to stagger Rosa. She backs off, hooks her leg, reverse kick. Rebel comes into the crutch, but Thunder cracks her over the head with it. Powerbomb into the tacks, but somehow Baker kicks out. Lockjaw into the tacks. Rosa reverses the pin into the tacks. Stop the damn match. Most punishment in a match. Britt, I think the award for Johnny Gargano award is there at the moment. Britt screaming and agony, wiping blood, desperately for the ropes and pulls herself to the feet. We see a basement super kick connect. Thunder rolls to the apron. Baker chokes her, heads up top, but Rosa cuts off. We get an emerald flosion off the apron and through a table. It is over. What a match now. This is a rivalry. First women's main event. Both great talents. What a way to end the show. Move on to the 24th of March. The show opens with the intro video. Kenny Omega versus Matt Sydal. Justin Roberts makes his money with Kenny's entrance, there's no doubt about that. And Kenny Omega wins by pinfall with a one-winged angel. It's a really nice match, so they should maybe had more success in his career. We see the Dark Order interview backstage, and John Silver flexes, show how ready he is to fight Darby Allin. They do a bunch of fake coffin drops, show he's learned to evade it, and then Hangman Page chats with him one-on-one. Silver says he's not nervous, and Page says the Order will love him. No, this is brilliant. And then Hangman Adam Page beats Cesar Bononi with buckshot. Page celebrates with beer on a stage. They're keeping Page on our minds. This is an okay match, but Bononi's still green. We see Lance Archer cut a promo for a broken down warehouse somewhere. A lot of broken down warehouses AEW own, I guess. He gives Sting credit for making him the wrestler he is, but it's his time now, and if people don't give him his due, he's going to kick the house down around them. Tony Schiavone interviews Britt Baker, the MD, on the stage. She calls the crowd disrespectful and dumb, just like Thunder Rosa. Be thanking her every day for letting her be a part of history. She says she's never seen more clearly than she did when blood was flowing in her eyes last week. And Tony Khan looking to sign every legend out there when he's got the right legend under his nose. She put AEW on the mat. She was saying it took Mick Foley 25 years to become a hardcore legend. She did it overnight. This is Britt's bite bomb. She is number one in AEW, and those three letters in AEW come second to DMD. Absolutely brilliant. And then Christian Cage interview backstage with Dante Martin and Varsity Blondes. Chris says he's giving advice, and Frankie Kazarian rolls up to yell at him for not having time for an old friend for a reason that he's just giving him shit. But he also wants to know when the work part of Outwork everyone starts. Cage says he knows just how good Frankie is. The work starts next week when the two of them have a match. And speaking of Varsity Bonds and Dante Martin, they had a match next versus the Pinnacle. Cash Wheeler, Dax Hardwin and Sean Spears. Hardwin hits a brainbuster of Martin, and the Pinnacle go into quick tags and double teams. Young guys started strong, but after a regroup, the Pinnacle took control and then won by pinfall with a Death Valley drive onto Dante Martin. Post-match, they attack Pillman, and then Wheeler gets in on the mic. He says the Pinnacle isn't just a name, it's not just a group, it's a family. And they'll live and die for these men. Dax calls Santana Ortiz out, as this is a professional wrestling show. If you need to know where you stand in pro wrestling, you come to AEW and see the Pinnacle. MJF gets on the mic then and says he expects Jericho will be back breaking the walls down by now, but he's breaking his chairs at home. He knows Chris won't come out because he's terrified of them, and Tony Schiavone takes issue with that. MJF gets in his face and pats his tricks down. Friedman colludes by saying that you're in the Pinnacle, you're always on top. We wait for the Inner Circle return, and Team Taz cut a promo from somewhere. Taz says there's no issue between them and Brian Cage, and he apologised for last week, make sure it was all good between them. QT Marshall was interviewed on the stage. He said everybody thinks he's frustrated. Cody Rhodes talking the value of doing the work, and nobody in AEW besides Tony Khan himself has done more actual work than him. He knows they've thrown him into bones. Pay-per-view appearances, bunkhouse match, but he's stuck being Cody's friend to most people, and he's not going to deny he is his friend, but he wants to get out of his shadow by having an exhibition match against him next week. Enter Cody Rhodes' arm in the sling. He said he feels his angst, but he will accept the challenge. They shake hands as we go to break. And then we get Laredo Kid Lucha Brothers getting an inset promo where they say they're going to win and come for the tag team titles. It's Brandon Cutler and the Young Bucks versus Laredo Kid and Lucha Bros. And Laredo Kid and Lucha Bros win by pinfall with Spanish Fly from Kid on Brandon Cutler. A bit of a surprise the Bucks lost, but that Cutler was there. Pac is injured, but should be back soon to have the title match. Let him and Ray Phoenix won at the pay-per-view. Post-match, Kenny Omega comes out of nowhere and blasts Vader Kid with a microphone and smashes him with the title. He takes another mic from Don Callis and says he's having vivid flashbacks to Fyter Fest in 2019 and asks what happened. 3 years ago, they all had the choice, a 12-year friendship. He would have liked it to call it family. What did he choose? Did he stay at home with the people that loved him? Did he go to greener pastures with New York? Where did he choose? He never chose AEW. He chose the Young Bucks, vision they created together. He chose them and they never chose him back. Sure, Don Callis come off a little abrasive, but he's going to give the Bucks one more chance to throw up the two sweet. They walk, Kenny says they're done, and Lucha Brothers attack, double stomp package pile driver. The Good Brothers come out and help him get his feet, and he gives a weak thumbs up, bleeding from the mouth. Looks like the Good Brothers and Omega versus Bucks, but they need a third man. Who can they get that from? We get a Jade Cargill video package promo where she calls Velvet out. Brandy and Cody Rose get a video package hyping up a new reality show they're doing on TNT. And we go to a break. Back from commercial, we get a recap of Eddie Kingston's legs Pillmanized by Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. Eddie gets on the mic and says, yeah, something's broken, but this isn't New Japan. They're going to pay for this. Where he and John Moxley come from, you take one out and one of yours gets into the morgue. He gets excited and tries to stand, but Moxley gently takes over and says there's a war on the streets of Jacksonville. And where these young bucks, he doesn't know them or like them. He doesn't play a game, but he owes them one after last week. He doesn't like owing people stuff, and he doesn't want to be part of the Bullet Club melodrama, but they're playing with live rounds and they better be willing to get their hands dirty. There is your third man. We get Nyla Rose versus Tay Conti. We get a Beast Bomb reverse. Nyla blocks the pin. Conti gets out. Hamstring kick. Soul butt. Rose with knee lift. Fireman's carry. Tay slips out and hits a roundhouse kick. Running knee in the corner. Another one. Hammerlock. And then the DD Tay for the victory. And Tay is building a lot of momentum and has Dark Order behind her. She just has that wide open look we quite like. Not a bad match. They did get lost before the end. And post-match, Nyla goes for the Beast Bomb, but Hikaru Shida comes down where Kendo Sticker wallops her. She beats Rose, but Buddy comes down and whips Shida and Conte. So we get a match and a story. Maybe they are building the women's division a little bit. Matt Hardy comes down with Butcher and a blade in tow and says that the women's elite was a sham because if Bunny wasn't in, the talent in the Hardy family office is not going to be overlooked anymore. We get video package, recap of the issues between best friends Miro and Kip Sabian. Commentary hype up next week's show, and we get yet setting up a match with Mike Saldell on Dark Elevation. And then our main event is for the TNT Championship. Darby Allin versus John Silver. Headed up top, Allin knocks him down and hits a coffin drop to the floor to wipe out the Dark Order. Big and screwy when he comes back. Silver with him. Argentine backbreaker rack. Avalanche Argentine powerbomb, but the cover's too close to the ropes. Drawing into the centre ring, the Meat Man calls for it, but Darby reverses a Brody bomb, and with the Yoshi Tonic, retains the AEW TNT Championship. I mean, forget about sides. These two young guys put on a hell of a show. AEW wouldn't be wrong to use these two as the backbone of the company. Allen's a great talent, of course, for the Open Challenge, but John Silver, just so goddamn likeable, and that's so hard to come by with baby faces in wrestling. Post-match, Matt Hardy pops up to attack Allin in the ringside area, floods with bodies. Darby dives on Hardy before heading up the ramp to stand tall with Sting. Dynamite had 3 really good matches, and commentary was great. JR might have just sussed it. Up next, AEW piggybacking off Mania have announced their first house show ever for the 9th of April. The idea they're going to go live on the 7th of April as well. The reason is because WrestleMania is going to be so close to AEW, thinking people will travel across to the live show to watch a bit of live wrestling. Obviously, SmackDown will be taped. It's not a bad idea, and we've seen AEW. They love mentioning WWE when it comes to certain things as well, even with the Kenny Omega promo and certain things like this. So, why not piggyback off the biggest company in professional wrestling? It makes look at what they do at WrestleMania weekend with all the other little companies as well. We move on to our third episode, March 31st. The show opens into the intro video, and we get Christian Cage versus Frankie Kazarian. I'm interested to see how Christian performs. Of course, Frankie is a safe pair of hands. Frankie managing to kick out of a frog splash. Again, Christian going for the kill. Cody sidesteps. He goes for a crossroads as well, but decides against it and a figure 4, basically playing with QT. QT takes his time getting back inside, and cheap shot referee Arn Anderson right in the neck. I guess the match goes to a non-contest. Marshall goes to the stage. He's shock and frustration with the rest of the Nightmare family check on Anderson. A bunch of them solo, including Nick Comoroto and Anthony Gogo, turn on Cody and Dustin, and Billy Gunn beating them down. Comoroto clutches Lee Johnson and powerbombs him over the ropes and to the stage. Suffolk spikes arm over the barricade. Nick hosses a bleeding Dustin Rhodes on the stage where the stairs have been set up. He streaks Solo's shirt with blood and pile drives Dustin on the stairs. The bat smash Cody's face with a chair and step. Red Velvet runs down to make the save. QT and his boys leave. The damage done, and we go to a break. I tell you what, Cody's friends hate him. Dustin, he of course his brother, had a match with MJF, QT. This feels like we went for Cody's next big feud. And I actually like a Go-Go, of course, in boxing, but I think it's way too soon to be on the main roster. We get a promo from Scorpion Sky and All got Ethan Page in to cut, wherein they both speak about being tired of not getting the opportunities they deserve. And it's feel they're teaming up on Dark next week, of course, because we need more tag teams in AEW. We get a recap of what we saw before the break. Red Velvet is interviewed backstage, so she's going to have Cody's back when Jade attacks out of nowhere and beats her down. We get a John Moxley promo where he talks about the things he's been pissed off in professional life lately. He puts Caesar Bononi as a guy you can make money with, but only if he doesn't kill him tonight. And somebody gets dropped on the head and choked unconscious. Again, Caesar Bononi versus John Moxley. Bononi clubs him with a pump handle. Mox versus his sleeper. Still shot of Nemeth getting kicked makes him look like you see Ziggler's brother at ringside getting booted in the face by Mox. We see Team Taz send a promo where Taz says everything is fine. And Ricky Starks said he had a great time last night in Dark. And he wants to hear what Brian Cage thinks. Cage criticises him. Taz plays Peacemaker and everybody gets sitting back down. MJF backstage with a Pinnacle and he gets a gift from a new personal stylist. But that's not all. He's also got an interior decorator and finally get rid of that stench coming from the bathroom. He opens the bathroom door and the inner circle is inside. MJF tries to run, but he opens up the main door. Jake Hager is there, right to knock spikes him with a broken piece of chair. Chris Jericho fights Friedman into the bathroom and gives him a swirly. He promises him the worst yet to come and smashes him face first into the glass door of the refrigerator. The inner circle drag MJF out of the room and reclaim their locker room. Santana looked like a madman. This was backstage redemption leading to blood and guts. This was good stuff. And we see the Young Bucks interview backstage. And of course, they say they don't want to air their dirty laundry every week. And Don Callis rolls up to try and talk to them. Nick Jackson muscles past him, but he asks Matt to hear him out. He says Jackson broke Kenny's heart last week and asks him what's wrong with him. Matt simply fumes. Callis gets frustrated and slaps him, grabs him by the lapels for letting him go and taking a few deep breaths. Don asks anything inside him and calls him pathetic as he turns to leave to send us to the break. And then we move on to our next match. Good Brothers, Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson and Kenny Omega versus the Radio Kid, Lucha Bros, Penta, El Zelo and Rey Fenix. The Good Brothers and Kenny Omega win by pinfall with a one-winged angel from Omega on the Radio Kid. They do love the Lucha Libre. Not in the AEW, but I think it is a kind of beautiful thing, especially these trio matches. This was a crazy match. I guess Penta is face again, but who cares with matches like this? You know, it's just entertaining. Moxley comes to ringside, followed shortly thereafter by the Young Bucks. They rush the ring, but Kenny and the Good Brothers turn the towel and run. And then back from commercial, Rebel interviews Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, backstage. Britt hypes up Dark Elevation and continues their feud with Thunder Rosa in doing so. Matt Hardy gets an instant promo where he claims Ty Conte would pay for the Dark Order's sins. And then we get Bunny and Isla Rose versus Sakura Shida and Tay Conte. We're getting all that brawl to start. Iraku takes Rose to the floor, crush and takes Conti diving onto her and turns to take the Dark Order and Butcher and the Blade out together. Bunny gets a kendo stick, referee Alvarez was distracted by Vicky Guerrero. She hits Conte and Bunny and Isla Rose win by pinfall with Down the Rabbit Hole from Bunny on Tay Conti. I like Tay, and JR says the reign of 312 days was a lifetime in wrestling. Okay, so Deanna approached 145 days up until Hardcore Justice. Sasha Banks was 161 days till Mania, which is fair enough. Oscar was 230 days from Mania. Io Shirai days up until TakeOver. And Kaylee Ray 580 plus days. Oh, now 600 days as NXT UK Women's Champion. Yeah, you're right, JR. Yeah, they don't have long title reigns in the women's division, do they? We see Jurassic Express promo where they call Bear Country out for a frame marker stunt around and promises to show him who's on top of the food chain. Stunt reveals he's got a King Kong tattoo and Luchasaurus stomps off. Muro and Kip Sabian make a entrance, send us to the break, and the main event of the show is Best Friends Chuck Taylor and Orange Cassidy versus Kip Sabian Muro Arcade Anarchy match. I was expecting arcade games around the ring, but we had a few of them here and there, but maybe it wasn't what I was expecting. We see the kind of normal stuff like the whack-a-mole machine where they were hitting each other with that. Taylor diving off the Mortal Kombat machine with a double axe handle. We see the Lego dumped all over the ring. Powerbomb puts Chuck into the Lego, but Cassidy managing to break it up. Penelope Ford pulls the ref out of the ring, but Chris Statlander is back. We see her return. Chris hits a cross-leg Michinoku drive off the apron through an air hockey table. Miro goes crazy and dominates the faces. He picks up a table as the best friends crawl up the ramp, the parking lot. A crowd drives up. It's Trent's mum. Sue is here, and so is Trent. Sue kisses her baby boy, and he goes to help his power manages to fight them off and goes to threaten Trent's mum in the car, but he cuts him off and beats the Bulgarian brute down. Chuck Taylor powers on safe through the stage, and it's over. Best friends win by pinfall. Post-match, we get a snap zoom hug. Best friends are back, baby. Chris Statlander slides into the ring. We get another snap zoom hug. Sue honks a horn and throws a thumbs up out the window. I think Best Friends have the best hardcore tag matches in AEW. This was a really good episode of Dynamite with a great main event. Alright, move on to our next episode, the 7th of April. The show opens with footage from earlier today. Chris Jericho in the circle rolling up on Dynamite. Max Case says he won. Raps a few bars running down Hangman Adam Page during his entrance, and our match is Hangman Adam Page versus Max Case. They look for a buckshot, Bowen blocks, that's the back of the apron, and Adam Page wins by pinfall with a buckshot lariat. And post-match, Page has a Page Rider or two on his way out. Page is just a star. This is an enjoyable match. Max showed a bit of an experience. And back in the day, a chain to the face was a finishing idea. Tony Schiavone interviews all three members of the Death Triangle in the ring. He begins with best friends, but then best friends, including Chris Statlander, interrupt. Orange Cassidy says it's nice to see the three of them in the ring, and he brings up Death Triangle's issues with them before and at the beginning of Get Cassidy versus Pac's match at Revolution last year. And I had to give a little heads up. The boys are back in town, and they got an alien with them too. The Inner Circle make their entrance. Chris Jericho gets on the mic and says there's a lot to say after the break. He says that the Inner Circle and their back, baby. It's only one short month ago they got the beatdown of a lifetime from the Pineapple. Somebody then corrects him, it's a Pinnacle. He says MJF outsmarted him, but the thing is, they've never been better. And Jericho says he knows what. Tony Blanchard and the third string member of the Four Horsemen, ranking somewhere between Ollie Anderson and Paul Roma. FTR, one of the greatest tag teams today, but they're completely interchangeable. Dax and Cash, Axe and Smash, Axe and Slash. Sean Spears is supposed to have a great upside, but all he ever done is call Jericho asking for advice. Wardlow, 13-cent brain and a $13 body, and has to strip naked to count to 21. The Inner Circle and the Pinnacle are good. They know they're going to get the crap beaten out of them, but they love to fight, and they're going to make a human centipede with MJF at the back. You want blood and violence? You're not playing grab ass anymore. It's be Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle in the blood and guts match. Folks, Jericho's best promo in AEW and for some time. This was fantastic. Back from Marshall, Christian Cage interviewed. He says last week was a culmination of a whole year of scratching the claw to take back what it's taken him from 7 years ago. Kazarian took him out to the deep water and pushed him back under, but he loved every single second. He's not like everybody else, and when you step into the ring with him, you have to bring it up a notch. And everybody in AEW... But then Taz rolls up. He says he and Christian have been for a long time, and 7 years is a long time. Team Taz can help him get back where he belongs. He offers Christian a spot. Cage says he has to think about it. Why did Taz love cages? Never understood. We get a Godzilla vs. Kong theme video package for Bear Country vs. Jurassic Express, leading to the match. The match breaks down. Bronson is isolated Juiceless with the choke slam, and Jurassic Express win by pinfall with a standing moonsault from Luchasaurus on Bear Bronson. Lucky the film is good. This is an okay match. Couple of botches here. Bear Country not quite there yet. QT Marshall cuts a promo from Nightmare Factory. He said he's done all the work for Cody, and the Rose did was try and leave him in the water. Cody played second fiddle to Ted DiBiase Jr. and put facepaint on because he knew he couldn't live up to his dad. But he cracked the code and found himself with vanilla indie midgets, but Marshall's found himself with killers. Yay, another faction. And then Sting on stage with Tony Schiavone. It's Sting! Before you can say anything, Jake the Snake Roberts comes out and tells Tony to shut this hole and asks where his little gerbil friend is at. We see illegal Scorpion Sky in the rafters. Jake talks about the definition of sanity, but Lance Archer makes his way down. Satchel Marks complain about the agenda in AEW. Sting agrees his main event player and blames Jake. Team Taz are hanging out backstage, and Ricky Stark was here for Brian Cage, but Taz isn't having it and accuses him of instigating. They all have to get on the same page. They have an offer on Christian Cage, and Stark says he understands. And then the TNT Championship night, Darby Allin versus JD Drake. Back up top, trading the palm strikes. Darby bites JD's hand and hits the avalanche. Yoshi up top and win by pinfall with the coffin drop. This is okay, but more of a dark match. Post-match, Butcher and a Blade blindside Allin on the stage, and the rest of the Hardy family office joins him to continue to work him over. Bunny tells the commentary team. Sting and the Dark Order comes to the stage to even the Oz, and Ty Conte starts beating the Bunny down as referee swarm and pulling them apart. We get a video package up in the main event up to send us to the break. Back from Chris Jericho, the interview backstage, but he gets blindsided by the Pinnacle before he can answer. They drag him on stage and throw him into the ring. Despite pile driver, the camera goes backstage to the Inner Circle's dressing room, where they literally have to break the door down to escape after the Pinnacle lock them in. They set the table up to the floor, but they can get act on the intentions. Mike Tyson makes his entrance. Mike light Spears up with body blows and takes it down for even more punches, and the Inner Circle finally make the save. They run the Pinnacle off and stand tall. Tyson and Jericho embrace. Okay, Tyson and Jericho get on somehow now. Tell Tyson how to tear a t-shirt as well, because it really is pissing me off. And then Tony Schiavone tells Britt Baker, DMD and Rebel, somewhere in the bowels of the arena. Britt makes a case for a title shot based not on wins and losses, but on t-shirt sales and overall impact. And then Bunny versus Tay Conte. Bunny with a candlestick shot to Hikaru Shida on the floor to create a distraction. She blasts Conte with it, but Shida takes it back and Tay recovers. Suplex roll through hammerlock into the DD. Tay take on to get the win. This was good. I like both of them, but they need development. And then the commentary calls hype out next week's show. And then our main event is the Good Brothers, Doc Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Kenny Omega versus John Moxley and the Young Bucks. We get more bang for your buck. Anderson breaks it up. The Bucks again have a momentary crisis, figured out a BTE trigger. Moxley gives them a pep talk. They resolve, but again they hesitate. John comes in, underhooks, powergram shift. He draws Omega up for a second before grabbing a sleeper hold. He lets go of it, goes for another powergram shift, but the Bucks super click Moxley. And then Omega pings Moxley when his body is dragged over. Eddie King tries to make a save, but the Good Brothers hit the Magic Killer. The Young Bucks stand conflicted in the ring while Callis and the Good Brothers help Kenny up. They draw Moxley up, and Don whispers something in Matt's ear. Super kick party on Mox. And commentary talks about the Bullet Club being back together while the Bucks turn down a too sweet and offer a group hug instead. And a lot of AEW fans do long-term storytelling. Here you go, there you go. Moxley gets turned on again. And we have yet another faction with the Good Brothers, the Bucks, and Kenny Omega. I mean, like I said, if it's gang warfare you're after, AEW is definitely your place. 10th of April, we had the house show, which we're not going to follow because it was a house show, even though they had video and everything. That kind of didn't really make sense. And then the 14th of April, we've got Dynamite, the penultimate episode. The show opens with the Young Bucks cutting a promo about how they chose friendship. Don Callis was right when he said they changed, that they weren't hungry anymore. We get the intro video follows, and then we see Mike Tyson cutting a promo backstage, and MJF interrupts him early on. He says his boys in the Pinnacle are peeved at him. Tyson said he's mad at them too, and MJF tries to sell him on attacking Chris Jericho tonight, but Mike remains steadfast and tells him he's the enemy. Freeman asks him to be on the right side of history and whips out a blank check with his name on it, telling him to think about it. Mike snatches it out of his hands and tears it up. Compsy hypes up tonight's show, and our first match is Death Triangle, Pac and Ray Phoenix versus Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championships. The match breaks down into everybody do something cool territory. Nick with a rebound, flip pile driver on Phoenix. Tag back to the bastard, perching. Black Arrow, Phoenix holds Nick back, but he spills into the pin and breaks it up. Jackson pulls his brother into the corner and makes a tag, running distraction. Low blow. Nick tears Phoenix mask off. Super kick party. It's over. Young Bucks win by pinfall. And this was a great match, but the ref should be there just to make the counts. It's a clever ending with the mask going, but the referee, come on now, just say the referee is there just to count the falls, let things happen. Meltzer rated this as 5 stars and said it was one of the best matches, tag matches that he's seen. And my problem with this is that he only rated the wrestle 4.5 stars. Now, the whole point of it is the setting, and when he gave 7 stars to Omega versus Okada, the whole point was that as a year-long storyline, or a couple of years storyline into the biggest main event of the year. Now, the thing with WrestleMania, it was the biggest show at WWE every year. It was the biggest main event that they have. And the difference is with this one as well, both great matches, but you knew the Bucks were going to win. You knew Phoenix and Pac weren't going to retain. I dare you to tell me that you knew before that at WrestleMania either Edge, Daniel Bryan or Roman Reigns were going to win that match. It weren't going to, that's what I'm saying. And that's why it delivered so much. So I would say if I was going to rate it myself, this would be 4.5. The Mania match would be 5 stars. But still a great match. He does it for a reaction and he got one. We get the Dark Order and Hangman Adam Page interview backstage. Page says he's going to be 4 to 6 weeks for John Silver's shoulder. And Alex Reynolds to cover Silver to do some rehab. And to the applause of the rest of the Dark Order lads, we go to the break. Inner Circle, Mike Tyson interview backstage. Chris Jericho says he's got Tyson because he stayed relevant for 30 years and he can relate. Mike says he's going to call it down the middle and wish Chris luck. We get Jade Cargill versus Red Velvet. Velvet lights Cargill with punches early, fall away, slam into the crowd. Jade happy to take the count out, counting her abs. Velvet back up on the apron. Cargill brings her in with a delayed ship drop brainbuster that sends us to the break. And when we get back, we get a standard moonsault. No, Cargill overwhelms her, double chicken wing, and Jade Cargill wins by the Jaded. I like both women. The way Jade is produced just seems so NXT. It's nice AEW slowly learning how to do it. Sheeda should be watching. And then we get Dr. Britt Baker, DMD's interview backstage, talks about how likely she's going to be number 2 contender after Red Velvet's loss. She's going to wrestle on Dark Elevation on Monday to try and move her way up to number 1. She will take the title. And then we get Angelico versus Cole Carter. Collar and elbow against the corner. Dirty break with an overhand chop. Waist lock, standing switch. Carter with a hip toss, but Anthony wipes him out with a body blow. And referee Paul Turner calls it. Angelico wins by referee stoppage. Some liked the punch, some didn't. I thought it was good. Ogogo is a big name. He had a massive eye injury, but he is green as kryptonite. And back from commercial, we get a Muro video package where he says he's been looking for Kip Sabian, but now he's moving on without him to fulfill his destiny of being champion. Awesome. And then Chris Jericho versus Dax Harwood. Well, we get a walk as Jericho locked in. Sammy Guevara and Cash Wheeler get into it on the floor. Dax ducks the Judas effect. Brainbuster connects, but Jericho managed to get the shoulder up. He hits a code breaker, but it's slow to capitalise. MJF and the Pinnacle come to the stage, but the inner circle right behind him and a brawl breaks out. Wheeler takes advantage and lays Guevara out. He gets up on the apron, but Mike Tyson pulls him down and knocks him out. Dax looking for a powerbomb. Jericho counters with distraction of Guevara, and then we see the Judas effect. Chris Jericho gets the ring. I think Dax is a fantastic worker, and this was a fun match setting up for blood and guts, and what a knockout that was by Tyson as well. Jericho gets on the mic, he wants to make it official right here, right now. Mike Tyson is an ancillary member of the Inner Circle. We then see Omega, the Good Brothers, and the Bucks and Callis all interviewed on the way out of the building. Callis Mike away and says his wrestling world has learned one thing about him is that when you think you've seen it all, you haven't seen anything, because when the Young Bucks come back to the fold, it wasn't the end of the story, but just the beginning. Kenny says, listen to the interwebs, the podcast. They asked why they changed, but they never changed. They just got sick of wanting us to be just like us. Don gets back on the mic and says she's prepared to be spies again. He lays the camera up at her out with a super kick. Why do they not mention Impact? This is something that is kind of annoying me at the moment. Of course, we know Kenny Omega's been on Impact for the AEW. The thing is that Tony Khan's come out this week and says the reason why we're not promoting them on Dynamite is the fact that we promote AEW on Impact. That makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it? You know, well done. So who will care when Kenny Omega beats Rich Swann? You know, and this is just, again, for me, it feels very much like, you know, a WWE ECW when Taz champion got beaten by Triple H on SmackDown just because they could, and the amount of shit that Vince McMahon got for it, and yet Tony Khan smelling like fucking roses, especially after the main event of the last pay-per-view as well. But again, like I said, with AEW at this moment in time, they can do no wrong. We get a Thunder Rosa hype reel. She says it's going for both the AEW and NWA women's titles. See, they can mention two companies. Amber Nova versus Chris Statlander. Chris Statlander wins by a pinfall with wheelbarrow tombstone pole driver. It's his first match in Starks complains about waiting for Christian Cage's decision. Taz admits that he's annoying, but it's best for him to stay backstage so they can lock Cage down. Ricky's a little too hot-headed. Brian Cage agrees and tells Taz he needs to stay backstage too, but promises that he, Hook, and Will Hobbs will take care of business. Back from commercial, Christian is in the ring with Tony Schiavone. He said it's the first time he's got to be interviewed by Tony. It's a huge thrill. He's out in his gear, and Tony Khan's given him an open contract, and he's going to use it. Enter Team Taz. Taz demands to know if he's in or out. The answer is no. Taz calls him a shitbag and says if he stands on his wallet, it'd be 10 feet over his head. He said this is the biggest mistake of his career. We never liked him or his stupid buddy that carried him. Will Hobbs hits the ring and beats Christian down, taking him to the floor and throwing him into the barricade. Military press drop. He takes Cage to the step but smashes his face into them. Well done, Cage. That's what happens when you don't accept Team Taz then. And then we get a video package hyping Sheeda's defense of the AEW World Champion. Darby Allin versus Matt Hardy for the AEW TNT Championship Falls Count Anywhere match. Well, baseball bat in hand, Darby goes after Hardy, but he hits him in the tallywhacker. Twist of fate with a chair. Darby Allin will not stay down. Matt throws him into some staging. Table and climbs the ladder. Diving leg drop through the table, but Allin managing to kick out. Darby goes and gets the bat and returns to the stage and whacks him across the back. He hits him a few more times, full force, and destroys the monitor at commentary before choking Matt with a bat. Darby climbs the scaffolding and the coffin drop through the announce table. It's over. He must have been at least 25 feet in the air. Darby holds the title high. This was a great Dynamite. Allin becoming the main event is comfortable now. And the ratings, well, this was the first Dynamite unopposed by NXT, and it drew 1.2 million viewers, up from 688,000 last week, double nearly that. Record for viewers 1.16 on September 9th, 2020. And now our last episode of AEW Dynamite, the 21st of April. The show opens with the intro video. Commentary hypes up tonight's show to welcome us. Ricky Starks gets an inset promo where he talks about he's going to win tonight, prove why he's called Absolute. And he's going to start off with Hangman Adam Page. Page wins by submission with a leg trap, Saki Otoshi. Starks almost broke his neck on a German suplex, and as he dove, an okay match though. Taz called Hangman out from commentary table. He tells him he got lucky and needs to watch his back. Really watch his back. Hook with a chop block from behind, put boots to Hangman. He starts fighting them, but they overwhelm him, and Brian Cage comes down to the ring, ready for the powerbomb. But the Dark Order make the save. He goes to the advert, and when we're back, we get footage of the Elite arriving at the arena today. Alex Abrahantes and Penta El Zero get an inset promo where they inform best friends they never should have reignited their war with Death Triangle. And if Orange Cassidy gets in the way, he's going to bleed orange juice. And up next, Penta El Zero versus Trent. We see a nice destroyer by Penta, and then Trent and Penta with a botched power driver on the apron. Commentary called it, but the crowd still chanted awesome. Again, can do no wrong. Alex has gone full heel now with a mention of Trent's mum. Penta with a super kick to OC, and Mike shot to Trent, and then wins with the package power driver. It's an okay match, let down in places, and then JR interviews the Pinnacle in a nice conference room somewhere. Says Chris Jericho got one thing right, it's time for a new scarf, and Tully Blanchard got him a gift. Wardlow unfurls the scarf and Max takes it for him. Wardlow speaks and says it's almost a perfect promo that Jericho cut, but he stumbled his words a little when he got to him because the minute Wardlow came out of his mouth, he knew he was doing something wrong. MJF put Chris Jericho as the GOAT, the industry leader for years, and said he stands in front of B's so he looks like an A and wrestles A so he doesn't look like B's, and it's smart. Jericho's been outsmarting guys for 30 years, but he can't outsmart Max, but he's not that great for 25. He's great, period. When Jericho was 25, he was jerking the curtain on Worldwide, but he's a top guy. Now, instead of sending the stooge Mike Tyson out, bringing in a circle against the Pinnacle and beat them. If Jericho got one thing right, the primates that MJF is a mark, but not a mark for him, a mark for his spot. And that blood and guts, he's going to take it because when you're in the Pinnacle, you're always on top. It was good to hear Wardlow talking this. He did good. Fire low by MJF. Spears does fuck all in this. I mean, just nods. Back for commercial, we get video package hype in our upcoming title match. It's Hikaru Shida versus Tay Conte. Shida puts her in the corner, climbs to her, jockeying for position, which is shot into the turnbuckles. That looked wicked. Tay keeps her wits. TKO connects, not enough though. Shida hits a beach break. Ty Conte will not stay down. Both women running low. Conte fires with forearm. Shida blocks a kick. Big right hand. Fireman's carry into a breaker. And then the rolling knee to retain the AEW Women's Championship. These women, it's a really nice promo video to start as well. Shame it's not the main event, but it's on Dynamite, so that's still good. A really good match between the two. Post-match, Britt Baker, DMD, comes to the stage, clearly calling a shot for next title match. Yes, it's finally happened. She is number one now in the ratings. Promo calling Kip Sabi out, saying he needs his vindication. He doesn't care who you are. If you have a title, you have a problem. AEW can put him through all the hoops and diversions they like, but he's not being kept from gold. His only question is, what title to go after first? Yes, this is happening. And then Tony Schiavone in the ring to interview in the inner circle. Chris Jericho gets on the mic and talks like the violence and brutality of blood and guts and promises a trail of blood and tears that goes to the front door of the Pinnacle, and that trail started with Mike Tyson not Cash with his teeth down his throat. Jake Hager throws some straws around as a gift for the Pinnacle so they can suck their meat later. Santana calls FTR out for ducking them, and Santana until they had a crew, and that's a bitch move. Jericho has a show tune that he wrote about his jerk-off friend Max, and he sings for us, claiming that he's never washed his ass with a new scarf. Tony Blanchard gave MJF last week. Next week, face-to-face, the Inner Circle and the Pinnacle will have an old-fashioned parlay. But he's not going to wait till next week to spill his battle plan. He's going to beat Living Hell at MJF. Blood and guts. They flip the bird as we go to a break. They couldn't strike lightning twice here. They should have just left it with what it was. I mean, that was fine enough, but this was okay. I would rather have like a proud and powerful match or like a six-man tag or something like this, but they are really selling the blood and guts match. Back from commercial, QT Marshall and the boys getting insert promo. Anthony Gogo said he's here in this dump of a country for big money, and QT said he's going to teach Billy Gunn how little being loyal to the Royals is worth. We get Billy Gunn vs QT Marshall, Nightmare Family and Factory fought at ringside, back and forth. No famous and no diamond cutter. Actually to the stage, Gogo comes down with a big right hand, and QT Marshall wins by pinfall. Post-match, Ogogo slides a winning chair into the ring. QT holds it up, but Dustin Rhodes makes a save with bull rope in hand. Punches, whip reverse, big lariat. Marshall runs off, Ogogo gets up the apron, but Nick Comorata comes from behind. Rhodes smashes the chair over his head. Nick shrugs it off. Referees come down to calm things. Break. This was more about an angle than a match, which wasn't very good. Billy looked old. QT is quite bland. It's good old racism and the Brits hating USA. Go back to where you come from, really. And the old not selling a chair shot. This was lame. I really don't care for this story. Back from commercial, we go to the Elite's tour bus with them. Don Callis puts them over as an incredible assortment of talent. Matt Jackson puts them over as a spark for the AEW Revolution. Nick pointing out that it's not all Moxley Kingston wrestling and tell them to come to find them. They hear straight about it. Doc Gallows looks out the window and it's Moxley and Kingston in a big truck and they ram the Elite's trailer. Austin would be proud. Eddie Kingston gets out and asks if Mox has a pipe, and he does. They circle and smash the windows to get the trailer to confront them, but they ran. They talk trash, asking when they went and call them cows and bitches. So don't promote Impact or World Title matches, but have throwaway comment about them and then this shenanigans. Good stuff. And then Christian Cage versus Powerhouse Will Hobbs. Christian Cage wins by pinfall with a quill switch. It's too soon to get a good match from the Green Hobbs. And then Commentary Hypes. Next week's show, we get Jay Cargill hype reel with various parties talk about wanting to recruit her. She says she doesn't need a manager and everybody that wants her in a stable will have to pay as we go to a break. And our main event, Darby Allin's main event, of 3 Dynamites out of the 6 that we've watched, of course, against John Silver, Matt Hardy, and now against Jungle Boy for the TNT title. The snare trap is on, and Darby has nowhere to go, but he posts up on his feet and crawls to the ropes for a break. Perry pulls him back in, shifts gears into Romero special, rolling around. Darby has to rake the eyes to force a break. Whip reverse, sunset flip, Allen picks the legs, Last Supper, and it's over. Darby Allin retains the TNT titles. Both men risk their bodies here. All, you know, this is the thing. They put their bodies online. It was a great show from both men. But for some reason all matches kind of felt the same tonight. They kind of went outside for a little bit and then came back in. I don't know who was the road agents maybe laying out the matches. But Olympus Sky and All Ego from Page hit the ring to beat both guys down. Page hits the Eagle's Edge on Darby. Sky picks up a leg and grabs a heel hook, but Lance Archer hits the ring and tries to take him out, only to get low blowed and beaten down. Sting is back and he's got the bat, and he and Archer run off the hills to end the show. So instead of the women, we've got this, and it ended with an okay episode. But it's been extremely apparent that both NXT and AEW Dynamite are better off not competing with one another. This is firmly exemplified by the ratings again, which garnered a 1.14, but down from last week's numbers. We'll see if Dynamite can still deliver. Overall, it's still a good show. It was more positive than negatives, even though AEW fans don't see negatives. And that, of course, I'm an AEW fan who buys the merch and the pay-per-views as well, so it makes me as much as anybody else. And you can have a difference of opinion. That's what makes it great. What will be interesting to see now is the fallout from this and what they do, if they even mention Kenny Omega versus Rich Swann after Omega's match at Rebellion as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We're hoping to have the Ultimate One with us to review, like we said, this weekend, Rebellion pay-per-view, and bring it to you Wednesday. And then, of course, the following week, it's the anniversary show where we've got something really special planned there. But that is it for now. Before we go, don't forget our follow of the week is G-Press Online. That is our follow of the week. Don't forget, across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJR. We're also on Facebook and Instagram, across all the Google platforms. Send us an email at gmail.com, and YouTube, WNR Podcast, where all the latest clips and podcasts go at the same time on YouTube as you do SoundCloud on your phone, and also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Like I said, hopefully the next episode of Ultimate One is back for Impact Rebellion. Then after that, the anniversary. But until then, I've been James Rowlands. Thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.